أهلا بكم في حلقة جديدة من بالمصري. Welcome to a new episode of بالمصري. In today's episode, I want to read a short extract from a novel which I have Egyptianized. The novel in question is by an Egyptian writer called Ihsan Abdul Quddus. Ihsan Abdul Quddus was born in 1919 and he died in 1990. And he wrote dozens of novels, almost all of which were turned into movies. And they were very popular. He was very widely read, and the movies as well were very popular. Ihsan Abdul Quddus is known for novels that focus on the middle class, mainly of Cairo. And he's very famous for having a very good eye for the women's perspective of things and almost adopting women's point of view in a way that hadn't been done before. The extract I'm going to read today is going to be from a novel called أنا حرة, I am free. أنا حرة is obviously a statement made by a woman, أنا حرة. It doesn't simply imply I am free, but also I am free to do what I want. So when a teenager says أنا حر or أنا حرة, it's usually said in defiance of their parents who want them to do something and they want to do something else. Anyway, the extract I'm reading is from the start of the novel. After reading, I want to focus on one grammatical issue, and that is the present participle. So when I say, for example, in فصحى, أنا نائم, I am sleeping, this is the present participle. It's not a verb. So a verb would be أنا أنام. The participle would be أنا نائم. In Egyptian Arabic, it's أنا نايم. And the use of the present participle in Egyptian Arabic is a bit different from the فصحى, so it's worth highlighting that and seeing why the present participle is used much more often in Egyptian Arabic than it is in فصحى. Okay, let's begin. سنة 1936 الساعة 7 الصبح. كانت واقفة في البلكونة البيت نمرة 3 في شارع الجنزوري في العباسية. بنت عندها 15 سنة، سمرة، خدودها ملتهبة، شفايفها ملتهبة. كانت لابسة لبس المدرسة وفي إيدها شنطة المدرسة بتاعتها. ساعات تحطها فوق سور البلكونة وتميل عليها. كانت في وقفتها دي بتراقب طلبة مدرسة فؤاد الأول الثانوية وهم بيعدوا من تحت بلكونتها. كأنهم موكب العبيد اللي بيقدم فريضة الخشوع للملكة. وكل واحد منهم بيحاول يرفع عينيه ليها وبعدين يردهم عنها بسرعة وكأن ضوء قوي زغللهم ما قدروش يحتملوه. وفي منهم كان بيحاول يثير اهتمامها فيقف يتناقش مع زميله بصوت عالي أو يبتدي معركة مفتعلة عشان يبان فيها تفوقه أو يقول نكتة بصوت مسموع جايز تضحك عليها. وهي بتتقبل كل المحاولات دي بابتسامة متكبرة وراضية لأنها عارفة إن كل المجهود اللي بيعمله الطلبة هو عشانها هي. وتعرف أكتر من كده، تعرف إنها أجمل بنت في الحي وإنها حلم شبابه ومطمع رجالته وحسرة شيوخه. وتعرف كمان إن أمهات الحي وستاته طول النهار يجيبوا في سيرتها وإن مش كل اللي بيتقال عنها يرضيها أو يرضي عيلتها وإن معظم صحباتها بيقعدوا معاها في المدرسة وبيحاولوا يتقربوا ليها وبعدين يتجنبوها برا المدرسة من خوفهم من أمهاتهم. كل ده ما كانش بيهمها في حاجة. هي كانت عايشة بعيد عن كل ده في دنيا خاصة بيها. هي لوحدها اللي تعرف سماها وأرضها وأسرارها. وهي فوق كده واثقة في نفسها تماما يمكن لحد الغرور. كانت ليها أفكار وهموم أكبر منها وأكبر من سنها. جمالها وذكائها وثقتها في نفسها ما قدروش يخففوا منها أبدا. كانت محتاجة الإنسان تشتكيله، إنسان يقدر يفهمها ويخفف عنها، ينشف دموعها اللي حبساها ورا ابتسامتها، الدموع اللي محدش شافها من زمان جدا لأنها عمرها ما سمحت لحد إنه يشوفها. واحد بس كان يقدر في تصورها إنه يكون الإنسان ده. هو كمان طالب من طلبة مدرسة فؤاد الأول الثانوية. كان بيمشي قدام بلكونتها كل يوم الصبح. ما كانش بيبتسم ولا بيتكلم ولا بيصاحب حد من زملائه الطلبة. فإذا مر عليه زميل حياه بسرعة حاسمة من غير ما يقف. كان يبان كبير كبير جدا، وما كانش عمره بيرفع لها عينيه، وعمره ما حاول يبتسم لها، لدرجة إنها ما كانتش تعرف إذا كان حاسس بوجودها وحاسس إنها أجمل بنات الحي. هي واثقة إنه مش بيعدي من شارع الجنزوري عشان خاطرها زي ما باقي الطلبة بيعملوا، لأن بيته في نفس الشارع وهو مضطر إنه يعدي قدامها في طريقه للمدرسة. وبعدين هو بيمشي على الرصيف الأبعد، ومفيش مرة غلط فيها وعدى من تحت البلكونة عشان يكون أقرب ليها وعشان تشوف ابتسامته إذا حب يبتسم. كان قدامه 1000 طريق يوصل لها لو حب إنه يوصل. هي صاحبة أخته وبتزورها كتير في بيتها، لكنه عمره ما حاول إنه يلاقي طريق عشان يوصل لها. هي اكتفت بأنها تعرف عنه إن اسمه عباس، وإنه طالب في البكالوريا قسم أدبي، وإنه بيقعد كتير في أوضته وبيقرأ كتير وبيكتب كتير، وإنه عضو في فريق التنس في المدرسة. أخته نفسها ما كانتش تعرف عنه أكتر من كده، وكانت بتتكلم عنه كأنه شيء مقدس، وبتخاف منه أكتر ما بتخاف من أبوها، وبترجع من المدرسة بسرعة عشان تشوف أبي عباس قبل ما يدخل أوضته. حتى أمه نفسها ما كانتش بتتكلم عنه إلا بلقب البيه الصغير. Okay, I hope that was nice and clear. One word that I wanted to highlight today is the word عمر. عمر. So you may know the word عمر as meaning age. So for example, I could say البنت عمرها 15 سنة. So our protagonist here, she's actually 15 years old, but actually what I said here was بنت عندها 15 سنة. In Egyptian Arabic, you can say البنت دي عمرها 15 سنة, but more often than not you will say البنت دي عندها 15 سنة. She has 15 years. But the عمر that I want to highlight today is used in a different context. So if you look at the blog post today, I've actually numbered the paragraphs this time to make it easier for you to find the bit that I'm talking about. So if you look at paragraph 5, at the very end of it, it says الدموع اللي محدش شافها من زمان جدا لأنها عمرها ما سمحت لحد إنه يشوفها. So very literally that would mean because her life, she never allowed anyone to see her tears. And what that really means is that she never allowed anyone. For example, if I want to say I have never traveled to Japan, I would say أنا عمري ما سافرت اليابان. عمري ما سافرت اليابان. Okay? In فصحى, in our text here, we had the word أبدا. So لأنها لم تسمح أبدا لأحد أن يراها. The word أبدا is perfectly fine to use in Egyptian Arabic as well. So أنا ما سافرتش اليابان أبدا. But I thought it may be worth introducing this word today because it's a very popular word in Egyptian Arabic, and also because it has a very distinct meaning from أبدا. So أبدا, of course, can also mean at all. So for example, if I said أنا عمري ما شفته, it means I've never seen him. But if I said أنا ما شفتوش أبدا, it could mean I've never seen him, but it can also mean I haven't seen him at all. Maybe I haven't seen him at all in the last week. The same word also occurs in paragraph 7 when we're talking about عباس, and it says ما كانش عمره بيرفع لها عينيه. So he never raised his eyes up to look at her. Again, in the فصحى it says لم يكن يرفع إليها عينيه أبدا. The word عمر is always used in negative sentences in this meaning that we're talking about. So the verb that comes with عمر can be in the present tense or the past tense, and it's always, regardless of the tense, it's always negated with ما. Okay, so you know in Egyptian Arabic, if I want to negate the past tense, I say أنا ما كتبتش, for example, I haven't written ما كتبتش. If I use it with عمر, I would say أنا عمري ما كتبت without the sh. I could reverse it and say ما كتبتش عمري, and in that case I do have the sh. So the rule here is a bit weird, but you know, that's just how we use it. In the present tense, which I would normally negate as ما بكتبش, I don't write, ما بكتبش, I would say أنا عمري ما بكتب. And again, if I reverse it, I would say ما بكتبش عمري. So just remember, it's always used with ما. And if the verb comes after عمري or عمره or عمرها, then I omit the شا. Okay? So أنا عمري ما بكتب، أنا عمري ما كتبت، ما بكتبش عمري، ما كتبتش عمري. Now to come to the present participle in Egyptian Arabic, or اسم الفاعل as we know it in Arabic grammar. اسم الفاعل always follows a certain pattern depending on the verb pattern. So if I have فعل, the اسم الفاعل would be فاعل, as in the word كاتب for author, or نائم for sleeping. And I have similar forms for all the different varieties of the verbs. So for example, استخدم, اسم الفاعل would be مستخدم, the user. So in Egyptian Arabic, we tend to use اسم الفاعل a bit more than in فصحى. Before we look at the examples we have in the text, I want to give you some examples of how it's used in Egyptian Arabic. So first of all, when do we use the regular present tense, الفعل المضارع? One case where the مضارع is always used is if I want to talk about a habit someone has, something someone does regularly, every day. So for example, I would use the مضارع if I wanted to say he walks down the street every day. هو بيمشي في الشارع ده كل يوم. If I want to say he sleeps at 10 o'clock every night. هو بينام الساعة 10 كل يوم. She always wears dresses. هي دايما بتلبس فساتين. Or we go to the cinema every Friday. إحنا بنروح السينما كل يوم جمعة. And that is similar to the فصحى, where I would use the present tense as well. Now, what if I'm describing something someone is doing right now? We could, in many cases, use the present tense, the مضارع verb. For example, هي بتقرأ كتاب. She's reading a book. أنا بطبخ. I am cooking. And so on. اسم الفاعل is more commonly used when I'm describing a state that someone is in. So a very clear example is he is sleeping. In فصحى, I could say هو ينام الآن. Or I could say هو نائم الآن. But in Egyptian Arabic, I would only ever say هو نايم دلوقتي. I could never say هو بينام دلوقتي. So the state of sleeping is not something that you're actively doing 1 minute after the other. It's something that you're in a state of. You're in a state of sleeping. Another example is, I just said earlier, he walks down the street every day. I would say هو بيمشي في الشارع ده كل يوم. But if I want to say he's walking down the street at the moment, I wouldn't say هو بيمشي في الشارع دلوقتي. I would say هو ماشي في الشارع ده دلوقتي. Okay? Another example is where I'm saying, I said earlier, she wears dresses all the time. I said دايما بتلبس فساتين. If I want to say someone is wearing something, I would say هو لابس بنطلون. He's wearing trousers. هي لابسة فستان. If I said هي بتلبس فستان, that means she's changing into a dress. In فصحى, I would say هي ترتدي فستانا, or هي تلبس فستانا, and that would mean that she's wearing a dress. In all these cases, if I put the word can before the present participle, it just takes everything back into the past. So هي كانت نايمة means she was sleeping. And so let's look at the examples we have in the text. In the first paragraph, first sentence, it says الساعة 7 الصبح كانت واقفة. كانت واقفة في البلكونة. She was standing in the balcony. In the فصحى, I have كانت تقف. I could never say كانت بتقف في البلكونة. كانت بتقف في البلكونة just means she used to stand in the balcony. But she was standing. كانت واقفة في البلكونة. Similarly, further down in the same paragraph, كانت لابسة لبس المدرسة. Okay, she was wearing the school uniform. A case where, you have the option of saying the participle or the verb is in the third paragraph, and I've actually used both here, so to illustrate that we can use both. So it says that لأنها عارفة إن كل المجهود ده اللي بيعمله الطلبة هو عشانها هي. So she knows, she's aware. Okay, if someone tells you something you know, you would say أنا عارف, أنا عارفة, I know. And then the sentence continues وتعرف أكتر من كده. And she knows more than that. So here I use the verb in the present tense. In paragraph 4 we have هي كانت عايشة بعيد عن كل ده. She was living far apart from all this. So it was a state of living. It's not a repetitive action. And we have several more examples, and I think what I'll do when I put it in the blog post, I'm going to highlight all the cases of اسم الفاعل so you can easily see where it occurs and compare that with the فصحى. There are other cases where we would use the present participle or the اسم الفاعل, which do not occur in today's text, so I didn't want to focus on them too much, but I'll just give them to you very quickly. For example, I could use the present participle to speak about the future. So I could say أنا رايحة الشغل بكرة. I'm going to work tomorrow. I could say the future verb أنا هروح or أنا رايحة. أنا رايحة الشغل means I'm going to work. If I use it in the negative, it can give the impression of defiance. So if, for example, someone tells me go to work tomorrow and I said لا مش رايحة, it sounds a bit more defiant than if I said لا مش هروح. لا مش رايحة. It can also be used to refer to a state of something that happened. So, for example, my son could come and tell me طبخة إيه النهاردة? طبخة إيه النهاردة? What have you cooked for us today? So, as you see, the present participle can refer to the past, it can refer to the present, and it can refer to the future, and it all depends on the context. Okay, that's all I wanted to say for today. And as a kind of bonus, on the blog post, I want to put a little clip from the movie أنا حرة. The full movie, unfortunately, is not available on YouTube, or I couldn't find it anywhere on the internet, but I could find some clips. So this is what I'm putting today. I hope you enjoyed the episode today, and I'll see you next time. إلى اللقاء في حلقة جديدة من بالمصري.